Your alarm goes off, and before your eyes even open, your heart is already racing. You feel jolted out of something, ripped from a single unbroken block of sleep that you were told you're supposed to get. 8 hours, start to finish, like a light switch flipping on and off. But the real story of how humans slept for most of history is far stranger than that, and it has almost nothing to do with one long, unbroken night. Think about the last time you woke up at 3 in the morning for no obvious reason. Did you panic? Did you check the clock and feel a flicker of dread, certain that something in your sleep had gone wrong? Here's the strange part. For most of human history, waking up in the middle of the night wasn't a malfunction at all. It was the plan. Before gas lamps, before electric bulbs, before alarm clocks existed in any form, the night didn't belong to one long sleep. It belonged to two. A historian named Roger Ekirch spent years digging through old court records, diaries, and medical texts from Europe, searching for ordinary mentions of sleep. What he found surprised even him. Phrases like first sleep and second sleep appeared constantly, almost casually, as if everyone already understood what they meant. People described waking sometime after midnight, lying quietly in the dark for an hour or so, then drifting back into a second stretch of sleep before dawn. This wasn't an occasional event. It was treated as completely normal, the same way you'd casually mention lunch. So, what happened in that gap between the two sleeps? According to Eckhurt's research, that quiet hour in the middle of the night had a name. Some called it the watch. People used it to pray, to think, to talk softly with a partner, sometimes even to have sex. Physicians at the time recommended it as an ideal moment for conceiving children, believing the body was calmer and more receptive after a first stretch of rest. Dream interpretation often happened during this window too, since dreams from the first sleep were still fresh and people had time to sit with them before falling away again. None of this was hidden or strange to the people living it. It was simply how the night unfolded. Why would the body default to two sleeps instead of one continuous block? The answer might come down to something most of us never have to think about anymore: darkness. Before artificial light, nightfall meant nearly total darkness for 10, 12, sometimes 14 hours, depending on the season. That's a long stretch for any human body to lie still and stay unconscious. A psychiatrist named Thomas Ware ran an experiment in the 1990s that accidentally recreated those ancient conditions. He placed participants in rooms with 14 hours of darkness every night for weeks, cutting off all artificial light exposure, essentially mimicking what winter nights looked like before electricity existed. What happened next was remarkable. Within a few weeks, every participant's sleep naturally split into two distinct phases. They would sleep for around 4 hours, wake up calmly for roughly an hour, often in a strange, almost meditative state of alertness, and then sleep again for another 4 hours. Nobody had told them to do this. Their bodies simply reorganized themselves around true biological darkness, the same darkness your ancestors lived inside for nearly their entire existence. Here's where the story gets genuinely strange. Ware's participants didn't just wake up restless or anxious during that middle hour. Many described a feeling of deep calm, almost like a meditative trance, distinct from both being asleep and being fully awake. Hormone levels measured during this window showed elevated prolactin, a hormone associated with relaxation and contentment, the same hormone that rises after sex or during restful nursing. The body wasn't malfunctioning in that gap. It was settling into a third state entirely, neither sleep nor wakefulness, but something quietly in between. So if your ancestors woke up in the dark almost every single night of their lives and felt calm rather than panicked, what changed? Circadian rhythm researcher named Charles Czeisler has spent decades studying exactly this question, focusing on how modern light exposure has rewired the timing of human biology. Czeisler's research shows that even small amounts of artificial light, far dimmer than daylight, are enough to suppress melatonin and shift your internal clock later into the night. Candles and fires existed for thousands of years without causing this effect because their light was too dim and too warm in color to interfere much with melatonin production. Electric light changed that completely. Bright, cool toned bulbs, and now screens held inches from your face send a signal to your brain that looks remarkably like daytime, even at midnight. This explains a strange contradiction many people live with today. You're more sleep deprived than almost any generation before you, yet you're also fighting your body's natural urge to split into two sleeps because modern light has shifted your single sleep window later and compressed it tighter. Your ancestors went to sleep with the sun and woke naturally somewhere in the dead of night, calm and unhurried. You go to sleep hours after sunset, fight to compress everything into one continuous block, and then panic when your body tries to do what it was built to do all along. Think about that 3 a.m. waking again. The racing thoughts, the dread that something is deeply wrong with you, the reflex to grab your phone and stare at a glowing screen until exhaustion eventually drags you back under. Now compare that to what Eckhart found in centuries old diaries, calm voices describing the watch as an ordinary, even pleasant part of the night. The biological event hasn't changed much at all. What changed is the meaning we attach to it. Modern sleep medicine still measures health against a single unbroken 8-hour block, partly because that's what factory schedules and office hours require, not necessarily because that's what your biology was built for. Waking at 3 a.m. gets labeled as insomnia, treated as a disorder requiring medication, when for thousands of years it may have simply been called Tuesday night. This doesn't mean every modern sleep disruption is secretly fine, and it doesn't mean ignoring genuine insomnia that affects your daily functioning. But it does mean that single moment of waking in darkness, calm at first, only panicking once you check the clock and remember you're supposed to be unconscious, might not be your body malfunctioning. It might be a much older rhythm trying to surface inside a world that no longer makes room for it. There's something oddly comforting buried in this history. Every time you wake at 3 a.m. and lie there in the dark, you are, in a strange way, joining a conversation that has been happening in human bedrooms for tens of thousands of years. Long before electricity, before factory shifts, before the tyranny of a single block of sleep, people simply woke up, lay quietly with their thoughts, maybe whispered to someone beside them, and drifted back into the dark without ever once wondering if something was wrong with them. So the next time your alarm rips you out of sleep or you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 in the morning, remember what your body is actually doing. It isn't broken. It's reaching for something far older than any clock, a rhythm shaped over tens of thousands of nights spent in real darkness, long before anyone needed an alarm to tell them when to wake up at all.